Hello, everyone. Well, Elena, today's selection is CARO MIO. We're going to explore the differences between singing and speaking and many other details. So let's start by speaking through the text.
Caro mio ben, credimi almen, senza di te languisce il cor. Caro mio ben, senza di te languisce il cor. Il tuo fedel sospira ognor, cessa crudel tanto rigor. Cessa crudel tanto rigor.
All right, so we're going to explore a lot of things, but one of the things that I think will strike Americans is how bright the spoken language is. It's very bright and very vibrant. So that's the first thing you need to notice, right? The other thing in spoken is that the difference between the big E and the little e, and or the open and closed E and the open and closed O, are not as great, right? It's more like I don't know how you explain it. It's like a feeling, right? You have to give across the idea of these things, but not exaggerate it to the point where it distorts your voice. Good.
Yeah. If we want to consider this, we have to know that in Italy we have different pronunciations. So the real diction is the diction from Tuscany, from Florence. But if you listen to singers and famous singers from the north of Italy, they would pronounce certain words with closed E, for example, and others with open E. And on the contrary, in the south, they would do the opposite. So, for example, the word senza that we have here, I read it as it has to be pronounced as Diction says, senza, senza, with open E. But I don't say that when I speak, and I don't say that when I sing. I say senza. So the difference between open E is se and closed E is se. So you can hear open senza and closed senza. Senza, senza. But when you sing, you cannot do that because it's
No.
it's too open, it's not.
Yes. Hey, well, this right. You're talking about exaggeration on either end of the spectrum, and also even when you demonstrate it, it's way more exaggerated just for the point of demonstration than you could possibly do when you're singing. So this is one of the things that people can take away from this is that you should not exaggerate, right? Number one, and the other thing is I don't know if we're confusing people more or not, but you have to maintain the purity of the vowel and the purity of your voice at the same time. So there's a balance between the two, right? And especially in this aria at this beginning, you can't even sing ah on the first note, really. You have to find a way to sing that within your technique, because you could sing that also, what's called singing wide open, right?
But
so
if you know how it sounds, how it really sounds in Italian, you will never say coro. Because this is, okay, it can be quite right as a technique, but it's absolutely wrong as a pronunciation. So you can open up your mouth as you have to do, but be careful, you have to know how it sounds. So it's not coro mio ben, but it's caro mio ben. So it will be a little more, but this is something that the mind does. When you know how it sounds exactly in the spoken language, then you use the technique and your mind leads you exactly where you have to go. And
so the idea of that you know the sound that you want to make, and then you make the sound. Well, so here's the funny thing, like in jazz, they say there are three phases, right? There is, first of all, imitation, then assimilation, and then creation, right? And it's very funny in classical training, No, I don't want to get too far off track because you're giving me lots of ideas as we do this, and there was a lot other things you said that we need to unpack. But this idea of imitation is one of the things in classical music that kind of went away. People like don't listen to people because first of all, you're gonna get their bad habits. But it's so important to listen to Italian singers to know the sound that you want to make, right? And not everybody will make the sound that you need to make, but by listening to hundreds of different examples, then you can assimilate and then you can create, right? That's the kind of thing that we're talking about here. Does that make sense?
But when you listen to Italian singers, you will be used to the way they pronounce the arias, and probably they will do something wrong sometimes because they don't speak considering diction, but they don't sing considering diction tout court. They sing considering the way they speak, so they pronounce Italian thinking the way they do when they speak. So when I say senza when I speak, then I say senza when I sing. And I say bene instead of bene. But the funny thing, and this is a trick.
We have to mention that you live in Milan.
Yeah.
Right? You're in Milan, or you're up north. And this type of thing is very frequent in the speech there.
Yeah, but the funny thing is that, at least we as Italians, when we have to pronounce a vowel and we are not so sure that it is correct, we can just make it...
Aggiusta, right?
Yeah.
Aggiustare.
Yeah, we use it in order not to show exactly how it sounds.
Yes. Yeah, but then there are certain words where the meaning changes, right? I mean, I've actually done a list of the dangerous. I've done a list for a lot of my clients of the dangerous words that you don't want to say one way or another. You know. But there's more. There was more that you talked about before. So you were talking about the Tuscan dialect for the grammar was what became the national language of Italy. But there is still a very heavy Tuscan accent. And you don't want to sing with that heavy Tuscan accent, right? Now, the other thing is that there was such a thing as La Scala Italian, right? I remember talking to a very fine Italian coach in New York about this, right? So, and you'll even see this instance in the Nico Castell books that have all of the things in the pronunciation. They'll do things sort of like a te, he'll open it, right? They'll do siete as closed. They'll do they'll do things like that. And at La Scala, right? You're doing these things with the Milanese accent. Now, I can find you recordings from the 1950s of even Santa Cecilia where they're using this Italian. Yeah. Right. So this was a thing that was sort of way it was sung across Italy. Right. Now, the other thing is what we call dialects in English in Italy, because of the different duchies in Italy, there are actually, not only is there a different pronunciation, vastly different from region to region in Italy, they're actually different languages. Right? Yeah. So Sicilian is a different language from Italian. Neapolitan, right? Calabrese, right? So all of these things, the Venetians, everybody were different countries, and there are vastly different pronunciations from region to region.
Yes. And this is a fact. So we shouldn't confuse the students or those who want to understand how to sing, I think. But we can use the diction, but we have to be aware that if you really love some native speaker singer and you really listening to them, then you just have to know where they are from and to understand how they pronounce the arias actually. Learn that sometimes the same word can be pronounced with open E, closed E, open O, close O, because even for example, people from Naples, they say fuoco, fuoco to say fire, while we say fuoco. But if you ask somebody from Naples to say fuoco, they don't say fuoco, they say fuoca, because they are not used to. So this happens also to Italians if they want to change their pronunciation. So if you really like certain native speakers, native singers, and you really always listen to them, then you can just sing the way they do. The important thing is that you have to know how those very vowels sound. And we just have, we have two E's, two O's. We don't have others. This is the only fact. Just learn the few vowels we have, and you can, practice and decide how you want to pronounce them according to what you hear from natives. I think this is correct. What do you think?
Yeah, yes. Well, there's a lot there, right? So you're reminding me of stuff. So it's very funny because in American English we have the same thing where people can't say words a certain way because it's just not natural for them, and it almost sounds affected to say it a certain way when you were born a certain way, saying it a certain way, right? The other thing I'm reminded of is that it is not enough to be a native English speaker to sing English. You have to work very hard at changing the rhythm of the English in order for it to be distributed properly. And one of the things, I used to play in New York, I used to play for voice lessons, and I played for some very, very famous former Italian divas who lived in New York. And one of the things that struck me was how hard they had to work, even though they were Italian, to make the language beautiful.
Yes.
Right?
Because you know that many Italians, they sing good, but you understand nothing of what they say. And this is not good. This is just a middle way between being bad and good. The audience has to understand what they say. This is what it is. What I have learned from.
Yeah, it's diligence. It's more of diligence and really, really, really paying attention to everything that you do. And it's also that one of the other things is that most people neglect the idea that to be a singer, you have to have incredible rhythm. You have to have rhythm like a drummer. Because to make these distributions of the language, you have to have the split-second timing. You agree with this?
Yeah.
Okay. So now, while I have you, here's another thing. There's a big controversy of the unstressed vowels. So the stressed vowels in Italian, you basically have to memorize. Whether if it's an E or it's an O, you have to memorize, right? And you can tell me if you agree or you disagree, where we agree and we disagree. So a stressed vowel is either open or closed. But the unstressed, here's where the controversy. Some books open them all, and other books have them all closed. Yes. So Colorni opened them all. And the reason was there was if you look at books written around the turn of the century, right, the end of the Belle Epoque, right, and into the beginning of the 20th century, you'll see books where where Italian voice teachers started to export their knowledge. They went to America, they went to different places, and you see people writing about it. When they were talking about, hearing Caruso, and he tended to open his endings for singing. Isn't that funny, right?
Yeah, quite fun. Yeah.
But you believe, I could tell by your reaction, right? You believe that their unstressed vowels are absolutely closed. Yes?
No, I really don't.
Or no?
No, I don't know why do they all have to be closed. Why that? They have their pronunciation. So
right.
It doesn't matter if we're singing or not. You have to pronounce them properly.
Yes, but what my question is, right? Unstressed vowels, are they open or are they closed? Or some books say that they're absolutely, you open them for singing, or are they closed for singing? That's the question.
But the thing is that what do you mean with closed in this case?
Well, they're A versus A, right?
Okay.
They're O versus O.
And
I don't mean you close your voice.
why do they
Yes.
have to close or open all the unstressed vowels? Is there any reason for that?
It's inertia. I've had more success in my coachings because here's the thing. We have the Castell books that open them all, right?
Mm-hmm.
I listen to people speaking. I hear them all closed when you're speaking. They're absolutely closed because of inertia, right? Right. So a word like penetrare, right? The accent's on the ah. You absolutely go a. You don't go pa. Right?
Okay, because it's
Right.
not. Yeah, because this
Right,
is.
because of the inertia. Now, for singing, it's vocal depth. Now, I think what happened, it came out of a good intention because there's a tendency to go and make it all in your head resonance, right?
Yeah.
So the reason for opening them at the beginning was just to go like, hey, Joe, you're going to do them with the stretch of shouting.
Mhm.
But then it got written down, and then it got exaggerated. You see what I mean? And this is what I was talking about one-dimensionality. You start off with an idea that's good, and then it becomes exaggerated.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
it
I
becomes
understand.
vulgar or heavy or bad. Does that make sense?
But here we are again, same thing, because the idea of opening is good for the mouth, the palate,
Yes.
the palate, but it's not good for the pronunciation. What I was saying about the mind is very important because it's just a matter of a little movement that helps the singer pronounce the vowel properly. It's not closing the soft palate or making this sound in the nose. It's not that. It's just that you learn the technique and then you learn how to pronounce properly by using your mind, because you know how it has to sound, and then you try to pronounce it open or closed if it has to be open or closed. You don't have to do them all open or all closed. It's just a matter of being good as a technique and then managing to think right. Maybe it seems so crazy, but it's not. It's very easy.
No.
On your breath.
Because again, I'm reminded. Oh no, keep going. I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
I'm not here to teach technique, absolutely. But I think that if you are on your breath, if your vocal tract is open and well, you have a good resonance. If these things are there, then you just have to think the language, and it goes. You don't have to close anything in order to pronounce a language properly. But you have to know. It's like, okay, I have an example. It's like completely different, but it maybe it works. If you have to play an instrument like bass and sing, you have to think different things, completely different. And what do you have to do? Like playing piano, you have to really train both things separately. So you just play bass all the time and you are very good at it. Then you sing all the time, you're very good at it. You know what you have to do in that very song, that very sinfonia, I don't know, anything. And then you put them together. The same thing for me is the technique and the language. You should do them separately at first, and then you put them together. So it's natural, it's spontaneous, and you don't change the language. You don't have to speak Italian fluently and be Italian. You just have to practice. That's it, I think.
Again, what you're describing at the end for me is not thinking. Actually, you think at the beginning. You think to do the right motion. You think, you slow down, you repeat it, right? Here's the thing is, I forgot who said this, but somebody said to be excellent at something, like whatever it is, like a tennis stroke or, something athletic. And being a singer or being a musician is a lot like being an athlete. So you find the right motion and then you repeat it 10,000 times the right way, and then the thoughts go away. But you're thinking at the beginning, but then the thoughts go away and it becomes your nature, right? In the same way that a mistake becomes your nature. Does that make sense?
Yeah, probably it's not the mind itself that makes you pronounce properly, but the ear, or what you have already learned, probably.
Or the neurons, right? You create neurons, you create the pathways by going through.
It just goes right when you know how to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so now let's break down a few more things in this. Let's talk about rolled R versus flipped R. If you say just say the first line of the song.
Okay. Caro mio ben.
So caro, first R. Now do the second line.
Credimi almen.
So credimi is a rolled R. First one, caro.
Okay.
Right? So for me, the phenomenon exists because the R is surrounded by vowels.
Yeah.
If the R touches a consonant, usually it will roll in Italian. Right? And this is what you did naturally as you said it.
Yeah. Well,
right?
It depends. If you have doubles, for example, it can be also changes.
But it's touching a consonant. It's still touching a consonant. This is the syllogism, right? The syllogism is R that touches a consonant is rolling, right? Except for, how about final R? Final R, if you just end the sentence. If you said the last line of the first stanza.
Cor, languisce il cor.
Cor, right? So final R, not touching anything, it's rolling.
Yeah.
Right? There's a lot of confusion on this.
Yeah, let me hear.
You wouldn't believe what I hear in the United States about these things. And see, the thing is you follow exactly what I've heard very careful Italian singers do. Right? No. Here's the other phenomenon that I hear people do wrong all the time is the doubling of consonants that aren't doubled. Right? So M's, N's, and N's get the worst of it. Right? So for instance, if you say the second line again.
Credimi almen.
So the mi, because it's surrounded by vowels, single M, right? So I could make the mistake as a non-Italian, I would say credimi.
Okay.
See? You hear this all the time.
Oh, really?
Right? Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So people want to do all of one thing. They either want to double everything or they want to make everything singular.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard for somebody who's not Italian to do that mix that you guys do, just naturally. Does that make sense?
Yes. But the thing is that we perfectly know how a double sounds when we read it. So any Italian could ask, why do you do that? I mean, there's just one M written. So do you have an answer for that?
Oh,
why do you say credimi if there is just one M?
Because that's we do. This is what we do in English. So in English, when we get expressive, we go on the consonant, right? If you get expressive in Italian, you go you, da, ti. You go on the vowel. You guys go like you do the opposite. And I think a lot of other languages go to consonants, but Italian is the opposite. So people are looking for a certain rule, but then sometimes they look for the wrong thing, and it's because of sometimes there is a definite formula of it's because this follows this. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So the M is surrounded by vowels, and you guys just do that. That's what you do, right? And it's your nature. Right? But it's our nature to double it.
But
it's exactly opposite nature. It's our exact opposite nature to make something open that's closed. And if we have a double consonant, we have a hard time not doing an open vowel. You see what I mean? Like words like like the diminutive in Italian, like musetta. We want to say musetta so badly. This is our nature. Isn't that, you think it's funny?
No, people from Milan is going to be happy. Musetta. It's very from Milan. Yeah. Some Italians would say so too, but just
yes. But technically the correct one is closed. The diminutive is usually closed in Italian. Somebody who's really good as a musician and is very elegant could do something like that that's not right technically, and it still sounds good. And I think that's the thing that we agree on, right? So that somebody who's elegant can do it, can do sort of those things. Yes.
Yes. The most important thing is that you hear what you do and try and be elegant. That's absolutely the point. But for example, well, let's talk about another area just for a second that makes it's easier. O mio babbino caro. For example, I don't like this double M. Oh mio. Why that double M? But this is just personal, I don't find it elegant. Double M when you say "oh mio babbino" sounds bad to me.
But what if?
Opinion.
I'll be devil's advocate. What if you sang the beginning right and you just did the slightest? You did "oh mio babbino" instead of where you're like clamping down. You see, again, the word "o" technically is a strong monosyllable, right? So it's a strong monosyllable that does cause a phrasal doubling, right? But if, again, you're taking a good thing and you have an example of it just being too much, it's there. But it's yet, see, I believe that you would read that if you were doing it on a very innocent way and you didn't think about it, you would double that M. But you would do it so slightly and so elegantly that you wouldn't even know that you were doing it. But if I wrote it, see, what happens is I do my text where I write things like that in. Now it's written down. And the danger is when I write that, is that it becomes huge. It looks like gigantic, right? Looks like the Duomo of Firenze, right? No, it's not my intention, right? My intention is to find that one. It's dangerous, right? You're putting yourself out there as an artist to do those things. But how far do you take it before you're doing it and it's too much, where you've crossed the line?
I think that somebody that has to learn the doubles, doesn't matter if at the beginning and not written or written doubles, they should find out the rhythm. They should know the rhythm of the sentence. That way, they would understand that it's just a slight M or a very strong R. For example, we were talking about the R before. If you have to say carro, which is, what is a carro?
It's like a boxcar on a train.
With wheels.
Like boxcar on a train, right? Yeah. Yes. Or a cart, right? It's a cart with wheels that carries things.
Carro. It's not caro. It's completely another word, means something different. And you have to know the rhythm of the word carro. If you know that, you're saying carro, the box with wheels. If you're saying caro, you're saying dear. So it's very important to listen to how long it lasts. And same thing, we never have doubles at the beginning of the words. So if you hear doubles at the beginning of the words, these are only for interpretation, for fluency of the sentence, and so that the words are not too far one from the other, And in this case, it has to be sweet and very fast. And this is something that a student could focus on and listen if this mio is very long or not. and just listen to the rhythm of the sentence. That's the thing that makes them clear. How I think that makes it easier.
I like this very much, and I mean it's the whole reason why I contacted you in the first place, because I love to. This is like for me. I love to discuss the finer points, and all the nuance in the language is very nerdy of me. But it's great to have somebody who has this sort of knowledge and is willing to go into these details with me. Now, I just want to tell our listeners that both of us have a very detailed pronunciation video on this aria, right, that you can go to. So mine is kind of like really slow and how you can move your mouth if you're absolutely having a problem. I go through every single word. Yours, you have this great way of, you talk about the nuances and you go through a line by line and you can repeat after me. So we'll link to our videos in I guess both the description and with little cards, so people can go to them. So
Yes.
So I want to talk about the word the languisce.
Okay. Yes.
Talk about that.
Yes.
Okay, because there are several things that happen in that are not phonetic. So if you say the word.
Okay, the word is languisce.
So notice that the sh sound in this is technically a double consonant. And if you say it again, just don't even think about it, just say it.
Are you sure about that?
Yes, I'm sure.
Okay, I'll do it. Languisce.
See the sh.
Is it double?
Yes.
Okay.
The reason why is because everybody else in the world, I'll say it with an accent. Ready? Okay. Languisce.
Okay, why? This is not accent.
No, it's wrong.
Wow.
It's wrong. Why? Languisce.
Now you did it long.
You said languisce. She. Right? The whole world says ischia. You guys say ischia. Ischia. If I did it slow motion, I mean, I'm distorting it now. You guys say ischia. And when you say it fast, you go ischia.
Okay.
Ischia. We say ischia.
Okay, double S.
Wrong, though. Wrong in the wrong way. Double S in the wrong way. Your double S separates the phonation.
Hmm?
Our double S hisses across the syllables. So if you looked at say you looked at two mountains, and both syllables are two mountains.
Yeah.
Our S goes across the canyon. Your S starts on the second mountain.
Yes, sure, because they are separate, absolutely. And we see it.
This is distinction. This is this distinction I always had to make, because people will sing. They'll sing la sha, right, instead of la sha io pianga, right? They'll always go la sha, and because of the singing is so slow.
Some Italians do that too.
So maybe I see. Here's the thing. Maybe I'm not correctly defining it as a double consonant, but we need to define it as something to be able to make that distinction, right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Now that we've talked about it.
So they have to know that languisce is wrong. Languisce, languisce is right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
But they have to practice that. Languisce.
Absolutely.
Languisce.
One of the best voice teachers in New York City used to have all of her students do that. They'd be in their dressing room going, CARO MIO, there. Every syllable.
Yes.
Are so important. And this is what we're talking about before, about, you have the right thought and you practice the right way, and then it becomes your nature.
Yes. So why did you say that it is a double, this sh? You started saying
because of the way you distribute The way you distribute the phonation, you separate it.
Yes, but we do separate the doubles in the when we divide the syllables of a word. So if we have chessa, for example, it's chess, sa.
When you speak, yes. But could you sing that?
We speak. Ah, okay.
No, right? See, that's the thing, right? That's the thing is when I will get somebody to think about every single thing and talk about it. Like, can you do this when you sing, right? No, you can't. You couldn't sing chessa cruda, right? Chessa cruda. You absolutely, yes, have to change, right? Now, there are a lot of things in speech that you can say, but then you can't sing it.
Okay.
Right? Sure. Mimi, like even an Italian Mimi will sing wrong. Grazie, buonasera, right? Oh, no, that's a brutta figura, right?
Yeah, but
you can speak and say grazie. You can speak and say it, but grazie.
Yeah, that's of another problem. This is also because certain vowels in certain notes in certain melodic situations are pretty difficult, and so the singer goes straight to the, or they for example, I make you an example. Oh Lord, won't you buy my Mercedes Benz? I've been taught that I shouldn't say oh Lord because it sounds.
Yes, absolutely.
It's the same thing. Or maybe even Bon Jovi, he used to say always because probably always was the E was too hard to be pronounced properly at that point of the melody. It was too difficult. I mean, these things happen always when we sing. Doesn't matter if it is classical or not. We have certain vowels that are really hard to sing, and so we just ask for help. Doesn't matter if we have a consonant or another vowel which is easier close, and we change the pronunciation because of the technique, of the difficulty.
You're absolutely right with that, though. That's exactly right. It is something dynamic. It is something that you have to redistribute, right? So, people will sing, "You raise me up," and put all the, it's so close, even in English, right? And you have to go, "You raise me up," and you have to actually change. You can't sing up. You have to actually sing up. Make people believe that it's up, right? And my voice is horrible, but you get the idea, right? That you can't. The brings it down, and everything is in the wrong time. You have to distort the time again, which is funny because you remind me of the criticism that I get from Italians in my videos, right? That I get like the Germans called the Zeigefinger. You're not Italian, and it's troppo calcolata, right? Well, of course it is, because I'm doing it in the time of the aria, right? And I'm making it clear that this is exaggerated. I'm going to, because. Poor people coming across, there were these, kids doing these arias for the first time, and they're just, they're coming on to our channel just for some little guidance on how to negotiate these things and wrap their voices around it.
We as singers, we are all singers. We all have to learn new melodies during our lives. And, I think that we always find those difficulties. Certain vowels are really hard to be done, but we can do them. They are there, and they are there to be done. And if they are there, it means that we can do them. Doesn't mean that we are aliens if we do them. People who can sing good, they are not aliens, or we don't know. They are, of course, probably geniuses or very good singers, but they have done their work, and we just have to be calm and try and do it right, not focusing on the wrong way. and on the wrong pronunciation, but trying to do it with the right pronunciation. At that point, while breathing, with technique, with the help of a teacher or of a coach, they can do it. It's not difficult, but sometimes it's the fear that makes us move to another consonant or vowels instead of staying there and just keep calm and don't have panic when you know that that very note is going to arrive with that very vowel. I mean, it's very important to work on that when you are somebody who has to learn, and when you have to learn. I mean, I don't know if you agree, but it's very important to focus on how it has to be done right and go on.
That is all very, very well put, because there's a certain amount of very, very strong people become singers, right? And I don't mean that you can't, you have to find that inner, the inner will. It's your will, and everybody has that will. You just find that will where you don't yield and you don't compromise, right? And it's the idea of that, having that tremendous rhythm, and rhythm can be learned, right? People just practice. Yeah. And then, you know, you practice, you slow down, you practice the right way. And for me, it's never was, you know, talent gets you a certain amount, but then diligence after that. So if you feel you've benefited from our work and we've saved you some money, why not head on to Patreon or Subscribestar and support our work. We'll have links to both of our channels and in the description and also in the cards. There you can donate as little as a couple dollars a month, and your support is very appreciated. It helps us in the creation of new videos. And also you may help by subscribing and sharing and liking the videos. Sharing especially helps YouTube recognize that this channel is relevant, right? And don't forget to see your coach, because nothing takes the place of a live coach, right? And after you watch our other videos on this language, you can go show off your Italian to your coach or your teacher, and I know they would love to spend more time on music than on pronunciation, right? And we also have, you can ask us to talk about other things that you're confused on, right? Because this is the first of many videos between the two of us, right? So great. So thank you, everybody, for watching. Elena, thank you for taking the time today.
Thank you.
All right. So ciao, everybody. We'll see you in the next video.
Ciao.
Bye.